Welcome back to a very short lesson in Money Study Group. This week's assignment was to do a simple budget. So every semester I ask you students to do a simple budget. It's really an experiment. I just want to see, what do you think of when you think of a budget? Now, some of you are accounting majors, and what you provide in a simple budget is a beautiful work of art. And some of you are more like me, and a budget is something you might do on a napkin. It doesn't really matter. You're not getting graded on the format or really even the structure of the budget. What I'm really looking for is to see that you understand the categories of expenses, and do you really get that it costs money for you to live? Because that's really what I'm looking for in your budget, to see what kind of relationship you have with reality and the cost of living in the world today. So I always get the question about, and the question is, should I just do a hypothetical budget? I live at home, my parents are paying all my bills, so I really can't make a budget. And that's what this video is for. If you're that student who's wondering, how do I make a budget? Clearly, then, you're not the student who's actually working, making money, paying bills. Because if you're that student, you're earning money and paying bills, you at least have a good idea, a good concept of the budget, the categories, the inflows, the outflows. So this video is for students who live at home, whose parents pay the bills. So what I want to do is just walk you through kind of the categories of a budget. So you can see here, there's a nice little graph, a circle graph, bar graph, but there's these categories. That's what I want you to see, these categories of a budget. Now, every budget has the same basic categories. You can see here we've got housing, auto and transport, loan payment, kids. If you don't have kids, trust me, they're a big expense. And probably you're an expense to your parents if you're in the group that's wondering, how do you do a hypothetical budget since you're not paying your own bills? So what I want you to do is we look through these basic categories. As you think through these categories of expenses, I want you to do this. I want you to do a little research and a little thought about, what does it cost you, what does it cost someone for you to live? So for example, if you live in a house that your parents pay for, what would it cost? What would the value be if you actually rented that house? So let's say, for example, that you're in a house with 2 parents and 2 siblings. That's 5 people. And let's say you live in my neighborhood and the rent would be about $2,500. You would take that $2,500 rent and divide it by 5, and your part would be $500. So for your hypothetical budget, you would simply use $500 for housing. And then we move on to auto and transport. So it doesn't really matter if your parents are paying for the car. What would the car payment be if you were paying for the car? What would the insurance cost? Or really, what is the insurance right now? And all you got to do is ask your parents who are paying the bill, what does that cost? What is the fuel cost? Maybe you already know, because maybe you're using your mom and dad's credit card or debit card and you're putting gas in the vehicle. So, or maybe you don't have a vehicle, maybe you take the bus. Whatever you use for transportation, that should show up in your hypothetical budget. So just go down the list. Now, when it comes to dining out, and Starbucks and entertainment and the bar and the cosmetic store and clothes, these are probably things that you know what the expenses are. So naturally, you would use the actual numbers to calculate the cost of those. And a little secret here, as we move forward into the semester, if you link your accounts in your app at Bayrock, it's going to keep track to the penny of every transaction that you make. But that doesn't really help you in this assignment, where you're doing a simple budget and you're not responsible for the cost month to month for things like housing, auto, and the list goes on and on. Don't forget utilities. electric bills are very expensive in Houston, especially with the heat. Another one is insurance. Insurance is very expensive. Both home insurance, whether you're a renter or a buyer. If you own your home, you still have insurance. You still have taxes. If you rent your house, you still have insurance and maintenance. Well, if you're renting, you don't have maintenance. So just think about all of these categories of expenses. Groceries, maybe you don't do the shopping. Maybe your parents do. You're going to have to ask, how much do groceries cost? If you're eating at home, then you don't have no cost for eating at home. You just don't know the cost. In this assignment, I want you to become familiar with the cost of living your life. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. You know how to reach me, and I'll look forward to reviewing your simple budget next week. We'll talk about it in class, and don't forget, our Zoom meeting is 10 a.m. on Tuesday. I hope you can make it. If you can't make it, it will be recorded and posted to our YouTube channel. So until next time, thanks for watching the video, and thanks for the questions. Keep those questions coming. See you next time.